Mayhem. Can you handle the truth with Too Cool Chris?
Trinidad killer, what going on?
Remember, FYI, we have Kashaku Cupid, the Minister of Sports and Culture, on from 8.
I have a question I want to ask you.
What do you want to ask?
No, when you come. Say ask you when you say ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you come. I will ask you. And I know the answer I'm going to get will be with the most diplomacy, but I have to ask this question.
I want to hear the question.
If I do it, I name Chris Jones.
Anyway, we're heading back to St. Kitts and Nevis for the Caricom Heads of Government meeting. The Trini Prime Minister
Kamla
seems to have rocked the apple cart.
Well, she just said what people want to say.
And
she was wrong.
I think one of her biggest issues that she addressed was the lack of electoral freedoms in Cuba
and Venezuela. To
an
extent.
Yeah, but the Cuban one, you want to hear what she said? She said, she said so much. She said a lot.
She said a lot.
She said a lot.
In that 22 minutes.
All right, so she said, there is a global focus today on Cuba. Every leader here participated in democratic elections in our respective countries. Therefore, I ask, why do some CARICOM governments and political parties believe that they and their political party supporters should have the right to contest democratic elections to choose their leaders, but Cuban citizens should not have the right to do the same? You cannot advocate for others to live under communism and dictatorship, but want to live under democracy and capitalism yourself.
Haven't we been doing something similar to that over the years?
Yeah. What do you think?
No, she's spot
That's
on.
a good point.
She's spot on.
Why are we supporting something that we wouldn't accept for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
If it's good for the goose, it should be good for the gander.
Yeah.
And you know it's not good for you.
So why?
I think why is because, just to play not devil's advocate, I think it's legit. I think the way the US does things makes it feel like it's only for their interest. So their whole thing about going into Cuba and making sure
it's not about the Cuban people either.
It's not about the Cuban people.
I agree.
So I think that taints everybody else's perception of what is happening.
Yeah, but that doesn't justify though CARICOM's position.
Agreed. But it does affect the perception.
Is it because the leader, I think somebody mentioned it earlier, they wasn't really supporting the people. But it's more
our governments have not been supporting the people.
It's not about the people.
Because if we were supporting the people, we'd be calling for
we see what Kamla saying.
Open democratic elections.
We'll be saying what Kamla saying.
Right?
But is it because
if you want to live in a state of conflict with the US, the Cuban people should decide that for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we do, we have them as personal friends. When I say we, as in the leaders have them as personal friends.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what going on there. And that is
why, personal benefit.
And personal benefit. Exactly. That's what happened there.
But then what happens, right? Because I think they're saying that part of the issue, well, a big part of the issue that the US has with Cuba is strategically as a military base for their enemies. That it's become that, or they could be used as that. If the US, let's say, goes to free and fair elections, and the US has in the past its influence on what party they want to be in power, doesn't that also affect the realms of choice? Because if the US is backing a party,
of course,
right, it's
that doesn't really justify though CARICOM supporting a country that doesn't support democracy and the right to choose. Right. If every 4 years, 5 years, you vote for the party to be in conflict with the US and to not allow their citizens to leave, etc., then you go with the will of the people. If that's what the people want, then. But it would appear to me that the people don't have that choice.
Right.
And therefore, almost everything else is negated. Now, you could have some historical affection for Castro, etc. Right?
Revolutionary.
And no doubt that Cuba was corrupted, and hence why people like Castro came in. But then that doesn't justify Castro then remaining in power for the next 30 years.
No election.
You spot an ill, you correct that ill, and then in the end you become that ill.
Yeah.
Just in a different guise. And for Kamla to point out that none of us would want to live under that. None of the leaders there live under a dictatorship. Every one of them was voted in.
All right. And can be voted out.
She
said that.
I think she has a point.
But still, we have to go back to why. Why is it? Okay, so the leaders, they know that. They fully well know that. They know that.
Because if you take somebody like Ralph Gonzalez, for example, it seems as if he was stuck in the past, and he was stuck in this admiration of somebody like Castro.
Is it that?
Right? That's a personal thing. That's nothing to do with the Cuban people.
Right. Hold on. Morning.
I agree with Kamla. Anti-cams. Let me respect the lady. Anti-cams. Too often times Caricom keep quiet on a whole heap of issues, and it's just like one big boys club they have going on. And she just fed up at that because at the end of the day, look how many things, why this whole thing in Guyana, right? Why we didn't put down one for them tell Venezuela, no, you can't do that. Instead of that, we try to have a kumbaya going on with them. Cuba, the nurses and doctors keep running every minute. If you speak to some of them, they will tell you they don't really want to go back because of the way how they're being treated over there.
Yeah.
You understand? During the CILAC, some of them came here and they talked to you, and you know what I mean? So she just reiterate what the people are feeling, and she just fed up with that. She ain't for that kind of kumbaya thing. If Caricom want to support these islands with the nonsense, she ain't in that. I agree with you. Make your own damn decision.
Remember when they had the big thing, was it in Cuba, where vehicles were running over people and all kind of thing? What we called it here? What our leaders called it here when that was happening?
Well, they stayed silent.
Nothing. You see, and that's the thing. We looked at it, and we saw it for what it really was. But then because of friendship, let me put it like that, personal friends, we play it down.
I don't think the former prime minister here could ever advocate that he was on the side of the Cuban people.
We had an ambassador in Cuba when all these things were going, when they couldn't get food and all kind of thing, and he said, "No, that ain't true. Everybody good in Cuba.
Yeah.
You have no problem." The ambassador who was in Cuba for us, he said over there was real nice, while the persons in Cuba calling us and telling us, it ain't happening.
Correct.
So what does this tell you?
So as much as we say the Americans have their plans for Cuba, there is no doubt though that Caribbean leaders also have their plans for Cuba. Yeah, and it doesn't involve the Cuban people.
No. We hail them as friends.
Somebody else says the U.S. is the biggest hypocrite. The U.S. has diplomatic relations with China. In fact, they are China's biggest trading partner. China isn't a democracy. The U.S. supports who supports them. They do not care about human rights and actual democracy.
I agree, but does that mean then that we should just follow suit?
Are we going to start advocating that China becomes a democracy?
No, or does that mean then that we shouldn't care about Cuban people? We shouldn't care about Venezuelan people?
No, that's
all right. We're meant to be better than that, huh?
right.
Right, and it all the criticism I hear from certain like left-wing leaders in the Caribbean about the US, I still prefer the US system to the Cuban system. I would rather live under the US system than the Cuban system. Right. And we seem to keep ignoring these realities, right? So that you know, the typical thing that people come at is, oh, they have better medical this and they have better this, better that, right? All right. I doubt some of those claims, but anyway, all right, if that's what they say, that's what they say. But that still doesn't account for people essentially not having the right to choose.
All right, hold up in right there. Morning. Yeah. Morning. Morning.
Hello?
Hey, morning.
Morning. Just to touch the China thing real quick. There is actually a push for China to become a democracy. But China have become so powerful in exploiting America's need for cheap stuff. But no, America need China more than China need America. So we have to read and come again with that push to try bring China to a democracy. Secondly, Caricom is just a facade because none of them would want to stand with the Cuban people. How much time does the Cuban soccer team go play soccer here, there, and everywhere, and at least one of the soccer players them run and don't want to go back to Cuba. Cubans in Venezuela balling for them to move Castro brother because they want to see their family that they can't go back home and see. So Caricom is just there, and Caricom is basically one of them friends who will come, drink your liquor, and go back home and back talk you and say, boy, me not like that boy Luke, but they don't drink Luke half a bottle of Hennessy. Come and pretend. They only want Cuba because Cuba send doctors to our country to work for free, and them pocket most of the money that the doctor them supposed to take as a country. Because why I tell you, me with Kamla and that one there. Me not like she.
What do you think the other CARICOM leaders' reaction is to that? They try and sweep it under the carpet. They pretend she didn't say it.
Yeah.
I think when it's all
I think that's our general.
Yeah, that's the general consensus.
Yeah, that's our go-to method for when something is uncomfortable.
But no, this is all well and done. It's like Kamla. Who Kamla? Say what? No, I didn't hear nothing.
Ignore it.
And life goes on.
Life goes on.
We have issues at home.
Yeah. Right back to where we start.
Between her, the Prime Minister of Jamaica said something interesting though, which is we don't have the resources to deal with a lot of our issues individually. And yet, nobody is saying or even purporting about a more unified Caribbean, moving as a country. Right, so they can all acknowledge that, boy, we're not big enough to deal with anything individually.
Yet we still try.
Yeah. Why is it that nobody wants to say, okay, let's
why doesn't one island, maybe Jamaica or Cuba, build a world-class cancer center?
Right.
And the more difficult cancers that people suffer in the other islands, they go there.
Yeah, I think one more we jump in. Morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning.
Let me go back a little bit. Why you don't want Jagger read the thing with the farmer government? Whether you good or bad, when you don't, you pass your remarks. Let him read the thing and then you pass the remarks after. Would you stop him?
That's just radio banter. So don't take it so serious.
That's serious, bro.
So serious.
Somebody stopping you.
Talk about what Chris said. I think somebody said something about stop reading that. It's just radio banter.
That's serious, bro.
Don't let that upset your day. Right? Remember, Captain Lanos is open. Grab yourself something to eat. But why don't let me talk for real though? It's a good question, Why don't let me speak?
Who stop and say, Luke?
It's you.
Why you stop and say?
It's who? One of you. I told you what's the same. Grab your breakfast on Captain Lanos. It's hot. It's ready. They're open for about 45 minutes now.